Welcome to Newbie Sports, and I'm gonna go right into it because, man, we didn't have a very eventful week, did we? Oh my goodness. I have a lot that I have thoughts on, and I want to try to get through this as fast as I can so that we don't have the longest video that I've ever made for you guys. So I want to start first and foremost with Patrick Mahomes being injured and out for the year. First season since 2014, the Chiefs will not be going to the playoffs. That's really unfortunate. I think for Patrick Mahomes, maybe not so much the playoff things, but the injured for the year, and we'll see how he does with the recovery and stuff. I deeply respect this man as a person and as a player. He's impacted the sport just in immeasurable ways. Obvious Hall of Fame contender, Hall of Fame person when he retires. Obvious Hall of Fame. But I wish you well, Patrick. I hope you heal up, and the playoffs will miss you this year. People have a lot of conspiracy theories about the Chiefs buying refs and all this stuff, and we got to stop with that. We got to stop with that. But it's wide open. It's wide open. And now there's Heisman drama also. Mendoza winning the Heisman, good on you. And if I got your name wrong, I will be thoroughly shamed in the comments, and I'll feel embarrassed. But quarterback from Indiana getting the Heisman, overshadowed by Diego Pavia, tweeting Facebook. I forget the platform that it was, but putting out on one of his socials, F this committee, and this is awful and terrible, and just making an absolute fool of himself. And he said an apology. An apology was deserved. And an apology was absolutely deserved. I feel bad for Diego for the situation that he didn't earn the Heisman this year. He wasn't the Heisman. He wasn't the best quarterback. He wasn't the best player. In their two losses, he was a key reason why they lost, actually. Especially against Alabama. That fumble at the end just got rid of all the momentum. You were not the Heisman. You were not obviously better than anybody else. Yeah, you've been playing really well the last couple weeks. You played mostly good for the first half of the season. You didn't deserve the Heisman. Maybe you deserved to be a finalist. I'm a little bit questioning that, but good for Diego for being a finalist. I really wish you well with your future endeavors. You might get to the NFL, you might not. But Indiana's QB, best player on the best team. Hard to argue with that. Hard to argue that case for Mendoza. And then I started this video the first time I tried to record it. This is actually draft 4. Because the USF game was going on, and they needed to punt it away with 4 minutes left in the game. They're down by a touchdown. They were not playing well. I just ended the game. So many flags in that last little bit that I saw. So many flags. So many personal fouls. Who wants to injure more and who wants to penalize more is what the Old Dominion USF game was. And just absolute ridiculousness. Now just watch, USF has come back and tied it while I'm making this video, and I'll look like an idiot. But so many penalties. And bad no calls, too. That last call, that last throw for USF that I saw before starting, that was PI. That was PI. That wouldn't have set you up for a touchdown, but that would have given you an extra set of downs and gotten you closer. So maybe you would have gotten another shot. It's really, really sad. And then Michigan losing their head coach in the manner that they have. I want to applaud Cohn from Crane & Company in not throwing this out to the news the moment he got a whiff of something and holding on to it until we could confirm. But what a tragic situation for Michigan and for Sherrell Moore and his family. I hope he gets the justice that the justice system will deserve upon him, and I hope he heals, and I hope that he can get past this. Maybe it's with his family still, maybe not. This is a bad situation, and I don't know how the locker room stays together with this. Their bowl game might be really bad. I have a prediction on that we'll get to, but I feel really bad for the Michigan situation and for the players, and for Sharome's family, and for the staffer that he was having an affair with. I don't know what to do about that. Don't know what more I can say other than just how was this not known sooner? I believe there's an investigation going into Michigan right now for this whole situation, and it is deserved. It is absolutely deserved. I don't know how this was not known sooner. And if there's some corruption, they wanted to wait till after signing day to take care of this. First of all, that doesn't really even mean anything because people can transfer. The transfer portal still exists. So why are you holding this? What are you actually holding this for? Praying that people will still commit even though they know this guy's gone? Wow. Cannot fathom this situation. But getting on to the rest of the league, Notre Dame is a joke. Notre Dame is ridiculous and Notre Dame is a joke. Yeah, they've had playoff appearances in the last however long of my lifetime. And they went to the championship game last year. Can't take that away from them. But just opting out of their bowl game and then the pressuring the committee to have this Notre Dame rule that if they're in the top 12 that they get in. No. You cannot have a rule designed for one program and one program only. Ridiculous. And now people are talking about freezing out Notre Dame if that rule goes into effect, and they should. They should. You should not reward a program for not playing by the rules that everybody else plays for. BYU was independent for a while, and look how well that worked out for them. And they realized it didn't work out, and so they joined a conference. Notre Dame just joined the ACC. You joined during COVID when you had to. Well, now you have to. The committee should treat you as though you're any other independent team. Just because you're Notre Dame doesn't mean anything anymore. You must play by the rules everybody else plays by. You cannot have rules specifically for you. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Join a conference. That will solve your problems. It'll also solve your strength of schedule problems. So there's that. I saw this video the other day, and I know I'm going through these rapid fire. There's a lot I wanted to talk about, and I got my bowl predictions to get to, and there's a lot of bowl predictions. I saw a video talking about tiebreaker rules to try to fix the situation across college football in general, but in a way to get Miami into the ACC championship game and have the best teams from the conference play. And tiebreaker rule number 1 was suggested as, and I don't remember the channel, otherwise I'd cite it. If I can find it, I'll put it in a comment. I'll post the link to the video in the comment if I'm able to find that before too long. But number 1 was head-to-head matchups break the tie. Of course, if that's not already a thing, it should be a thing. Rule number 2, though, was that the College Football Playoff Committee rankings will determine the tiebreaker. No, this is a horrible, awful, terrible idea for 3 reasons that I can determine at least. Number 1 being, not all conferences are going to have ranked participants in the first place. Most of the group of 5, if not all of the group of 5, aren't going to have 2 ranked participants. Now, the American Athletic Conference did this year, but that doesn't mean that it'll happen in the future year. Sun Belt only had 1. Mountain West didn't have any. You can't do that. You cannot do that. So that's that reason. It's already dead on arrival because not all conferences will have 2 ranked participants anyways. Number 2 reason why it's horrible and awful and terrible idea and demonstrate that you did not think this very well at all is you have to have separation from the conferences and the CFP. The CFP needs to be the CFP and the conferences need to be the conferences. The conferences need to have more autonomy than the CFP. The CFP can't theoretically rig the rankings to get the right teams in. And the more power you give to the committee, the more likely that is. And the more likely more shenanigery, like we've seen with Miami jumping Notre Dame, will happen. You cannot give the playoff committee that kind of power. It's just like the government. You have states' power and you have the federal government power. The federal government power has powers that are necessary for the federal government, but the states need to have autonomy. The conferences are the states. They need to have autonomy. And the third reason why this is a horrible idea, and probably the most important reason why this is a horrible idea, this tiebreaker rule that the college football playoff rankings will determine the winner of the tiebreaker, is that this removes all incentive to schedule any difficult opponents outside of the Power Four. Within the Power Four. You would be hurting your program to even schedule it. Don't do it. Why would you schedule, if you have a 9-game season with all these teams, why would you have your 3 others compromise your schedule already if you're a Power 4 team? Now, the Group of 5 are going to schedule anybody they can because the elites don't care about them at all. And side note on that, I'm so sick of people calling this JMU situation DEI. It's not DEI. They were the 5th best conference champion this year. What do you think, Duke was better? I don't. You can't put a 5-loss conference champion in over JMU. You cannot. It's absolutely absurd that anyone would even consider that this is DEI. Get your head out of your butts. We got to stop looking down our noses at the Group of 5 teams. It's absolutely absurd. But back to the tiebreaker thing. If the playoff committee is going to determine who goes to the conference championship game by their rankings, you wouldn't schedule any difficult games. You would be hurting your program to schedule the games. So that this rule is a horrible idea, terribly, terribly thought out, and I don't understand why this would even be considered. But yeah, going down the list of other things, the Group of 5 has to have more respect than they do. We can't stop looking down our nose at the Group of 5 teams. But the reality is that I don't think Tulane or JMU is going to put up much of a fight. That is a reality of the sports. And it sucks that the Group of 5 teams get as little respect as they do. And I felt it when BYU was in the Mountain West and in Independent. But just the reality of the situation is these teams are probably not going to do well in the postseason. And they're definitely not winning the national championship. It's not going to happen. Everyone knows this, including the people in these teams. Oh, we just are happy to be here and participate in the college football playoffs. Maybe JMU will shock the world and take out Oregon. I don't think so. Maybe Tulane will shock the world and take out Ole Miss. And I would love that, actually. It's not going to happen. And they are, objectively, the best Group of 5 teams in the nation. And they don't have a chance. So I don't know what to do about this. That is a reality of the Group of 5. They need to get more respect than they do. And they're probably not going to do very well postseason. And that's just a reality. What are you going to do? Kyle Whittingham has left the University of Utah after 20-plus seasons. Won 64% of his games, more than that. Absolutely outstanding career. And Utah might have a statue of him. They might rename the stadium after him. He has done that well at Utah. And they're on the verge of having the best season since 2008. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah. I think they'll be just fine. $500 million in NIL money is going to go a long way. And I think their defensive coordinator, I think it's Morgan Scalley, once again, if I get the names wrong, feel free to torch me in the comments, is going to be just fine. They have a lot of players returning, and their new money that they have access to is going to open up a lot of opportunities for them. I think Utah is going to be a threat for a long time still. And then BYU getting Kalani back is still big news. And BYU actually had to cancel some games against Cal this week because Cal is part of the ACC, and the ACC is expanding to 9 games between their conference, a 9-game season for the ACC, and that results in canceling a game against BYU. Now, why is it BYU and not some of the other teams? I don't know, but we'll figure that part out. And just last little bit about things before we get on to our bowl predictions. BYU basketball is on the verge of going undefeated in December. Absolutely excellent games this year. We hit the century mark the other day with one of our games. We almost hit it again. I think we had 93 points in that game right after the century game. Just absolutely outstanding showing from BYU basketball. And then I do need to correct the record. The last video I made about BYU basketball, I said that that was the largest deficit that they'd overcome. It's actually tied for the second largest deficit that they've overcome. So correcting the record on there. But we got lots of good sports to go this year and going into next year. After college football, I'll be paying attention more to college basketball and maybe the NBA. The Knicks just won the NBA Cup. I don't really know what that means. I follow the NBA a little, but all this things that they're trying to do to get people to watch is not getting me to watch. So we'll see what happens with the NBA and with the men's basketball and with the NFL as well. Getting on to bowl predictions. And oh my gosh, there's so many bowls that I've decided to cover. I've decided to cover all of the Power 4 teams and a few other bowls that I just wanted to cover because why not? Starting with Pitt at ECU. I think Pitt is going to win 33-20. 23 Iowa at 14 Vanderbilt. I do think Vanderbilt comes up with the win here, 33-24, capping off Diego Pavia's final season of college football. I almost said basketball. Toledo at Louisville. I do think Louisville wins this 28-24. Now, we have a group of 5 game that I'm covering because Utah State. Washington State at Utah State. I do think Utah State pulls off the win here. I think it's going to be a little wider than they have projected. I think it's going to be 33-20. I think Bronco Mendenhall comes in to Utah State and caps off his first year with the bowl win. Good job for Utah State. Now, coming in 22 Georgia State versus BYU. I think BYU destroys Georgia State. I think this is going to be 44-24 for the Cougs. They should have gone to the playoffs. Well, I neglected to talk about that, but it's just we'll talk about that once we get to the playoff stuff. There's way too much to talk about with these bowl games and just everyone else how ridiculous this has been. BYU beats Georgia State 44-24. Penn State at Clemson. I think Penn State caps off this very tumultuous win with a very tumultuous year with a bowl game win 27-21. 25 North Texas at San Diego State. North Texas is going to win this game 36-20. I don't think San Diego State's got a chance. 19 Virginia at Missouri. I do think Virginia's going to win this game. I think they're a bit salty, and I think they got a chip on their shoulder, and I think Missouri is kind of tapped out. So I think Virginia wins this game. I do think it's going to be tight, though, 28-24. LSU at versus 21 Houston. Houston's going to win this game 30-18. 30-18, Houston. Let's see, where was I? Tennessee at Illinois. I do think Illinois comes up with the win here. And I think it's going to be 33-20. I haven't been convinced of Tennessee all season. I don't think they should have been ranked at all when they were. So here we are. Illinois comes up with the win, 33-20. 16 USC versus TCU. I think TCU wins this in a very tight game, 35-33. Nebraska versus Utah. Utah's going to blow them out of the water. I think this is going to be 47-10. I think Kyle Whittingham closes this season 47-10 against Nebraska, concluding with his second 11-win season for a while, and his first complete season with 2 or fewer losses since the 2008 undefeated season. And that, I think, makes this the best season since that one. I understand that they won the Pac-12 a couple times, but they lost in the Rose Bowl. So that kind of waves the magic away. But I think they're going to win this bowl game, and I think they deserve to win this bowl game, and I think Kyle Whittingham ends his career at Utah. He might go to the NFL. He might go to another college. I don't think he's going to another college. I think if he's not done, he's going to the NFL. But congratulations on Utah on this season. I think this is going to be a good win to be capstone on Kyle Whittingham's career. Wake Forest versus Michigan State. Wake Forest is going to win this 34-26. Don't got to talk about that very much more. Arizona State versus SMU. No, 17 Arizona versus SMU. Arizona's going to win this game, 32-22. SMU's done. SMU's tapped out. Arizona is very bitter, and Arizona has fight to them. I think Arizona wins this game fairly easily, 32-22. Cal at Hawaii. I think Cal wins this game 39-20. Central Michigan versus Northwestern. I do think Northwestern comes up with the win here, 34-20. New Mexico against Minnesota. Minnesota's going to win this game, 28-20. And that is all of our non-playoff bowl games. And look at this. I'm at 23 minutes. I'm doing so well. This is probably way too rapid fire for anyone who's watching this. But lot to talk about. And we'll get to the playoff ridiculousness for just a moment. The committee has to have consistent rules for everyone. You can't have a rule just for Notre Dame. And if 2 seasons ago you bump Florida State down because they have their starting quarterback get injured, you cannot advance Ole Miss because their coach leaves. It's not apples to apples comparison, but you lost a key figure in Ole Miss and you advanced them a spot. No. Keep them at 7 or drop them like you dropped Florida State to remain consistent, because key figures will determine, supposedly you were going to be looking at key figures. But yeah, there's that with Ole Miss. Ole Miss should have been dropped a spot. I don't think they should have been dropped from the playoffs, but I don't think they should have advanced to 6. I think that's silly. And I think that after they take it to Tulane, that they're going to be humbled pretty quick. I think they're going to be humbled really quick. And then the other silliness that has to be addressed this year, I saw Kirk Herbstreit talk about if he thought that BYU was punished this year. And he said, no, I don't think so, because, they played about the same against Texas Tech in the championship game. And then Alabama at least won against Georgia this year. And I'm listening to this, and I'm saying, okay, so BYU played about as well as they did previously, and they drop a spot. And Alabama plays worse than they did on a neutral site later in the season where it matters more, and they stay put. If you're going to drop BYU, you must drop Alabama. If you're going to keep Alabama where they are, you must keep BYU where they are. They played about the same in their conference championship games, and BYU had a better strength of record, a better strength of schedule, and better stats just overall. And Alabama, once again, had that horrible loss to Florida State. If you're going to keep Alabama where they are, you must keep BYU where they are in this situation. If you're going to drop BYU, you must drop Alabama. I understand that that means that BYU wouldn't have gone to the playoffs at all, and that's a whole other issue entirely. They should not have been ranked as low as they were to begin with. But Alabama should have dropped 1. They'd be playing against Texas A&M instead of Oklahoma. Another SEC team. So what? So what? The rules must be consistent. But with that being said, let's conclude this video with my playoff predictions. All the way through the whole tournament bracket. And we'll be updating this as I am proven wrong with some of these predictions, because I'm almost certainly going to be proven wrong. Round 1. 9, Alabama against Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma ends Alabama's season 19-11. I think it's going to be a horrible offensive showing for both teams. I don't think this is going to be a good game at all. 19-11 in favor of Oklahoma. Miami and Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M wins this game 38-23. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think Miami should have been in. I don't think they're a very good team. I think Texas A&M is going to win this game. Tulane at Ole Miss. The Ole Miss is going to stomp them. I think Tulane might score 22 points, but Ole Miss is going to win this game 34-22. JMU at Oregon. Another stomping. Another absolute stomping. 43-16 in favor of Oklahoma. That's round 1. Round 2. I think Ohio State playing against Texas A&M. Ohio State wins that game 22-18. They've been playing mostly defensive football all season, and I think Texas A&M is a good team. Texas Tech versus Oregon. Hopefully my wife doesn't hear me make this prediction, but I think Texas Tech is going to beat Oregon, and I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be 33-30. Next game in the round 2, Indiana against 8 Oklahoma. Indiana's going to win this game 27-10. Oklahoma is not excellent. Alabama and Oklahoma are not excellent, but Oklahoma's good enough to beat Alabama. They beat them earlier, and Oklahoma's going to lose to Indiana pretty handily, 27-10. Georgia versus Ole Miss. Georgia's going to win this game 32-26. 32-26. And that means that there's 1 team from the SEC in the semifinals, 2 teams from the Big Ten, and 1 from the Big 12. Semifinal round. Texas Tech going against Indiana. I am going to pick Texas Tech to win this. I think Texas Tech wins this 24-20. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a good game. I think this might be the best game of the playoffs, actually. But I think Texas Tech is going to win this game and go on to the championship game. And then Georgia versus Ohio State. I think this is going to be another defensive battle. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I think it's going to be 21-19 Ohio State. And Ohio State is going to go back to the championship game for the 2nd year in a row. Championship game. This is for all the marbles. Texas Tech, number 4, against number 2, Ohio State. Texas Tech wins this game 24-23. Your first Big 12 national championship contender, national championship winner in the playoff era. Thank you, the 12-team playoff system, and the Texas Tech Red Raiders win this game. Now, let's come up with our predicted postseason postmortem. I predict that the ACC is going to go 5-4 in bowls and no playoff wins, 0-1. I think the SEC is going to win only 2 of their 6 bowl games. 2 for 4 in bowls. And that'd be Vanderbilt and Texas. And they're going to go 4-5 in the playoffs with 1 semifinal one team in the semifinals, no teams in the championships. So sad, SEC. I think you're going to miss the championship game for the third year consecutively. Big Ten, 4-for-4 in bowls and 4-for-3 in the playoffs, with a national championship appearance and 2 semifinalist appearances, but not a 3-time Big Ten champion. Maybe I'll be wrong, but the Big 12, I predict, goes 7-0 in their bowls with their first national championship game, and going 3-0 in the playoffs. This is the Big 12's year to wreck everything. Go Red Raiders! This has been Newbie Sports.